because now I'm investigating who's at the very top, who really rules the world, and I discovered it's a very, very interesting history of ancient Iranian tribes, the original Zoroastrians, and the First World Persian Empire that has controlled the world for the last 5,000 years.
This was a Sabbatean war.
You out there, you comfortable ones, you point the finger. You're the problem.
We're talking about satanic things here.
We're witnessing I don't know if it's the end game or not, but we're witnessing the contemporary expression of this bloodline.
Yes.
And I don't know where you're going with this, but
We're talking about a global network with one template carrying all of this out.
Can you tell me what's going on?
Libertas, the false so-called liberty of the Illuminati New World Order. Those sons and daughters of criminals of the French Revolution. Those who call themselves the Free Peoples. Those who out of jealousy slayed their rightful royalty, robbed us of our crowns, and destroyed our once sovereign world, only to replace it with the spawn of a lower star. The new rulers only have half a brain, while we, the true illuminated, see with both eyes. The Illuminati only see with one eye.
Mama, I want to eat Cookie Crisp.
Should said, signs and symbols rule the world, not words and laws. And when I let go of that and I began trusting myself and my intuition and my experience and my insights, it changed everything. And I began looking at signs and symbols, and that's what opened all the doors. It's all right in front of us. It's there for everyone to see, but they don't know how to integrate, to relate, to put together the information to tell the real story.
I can guarantee you that this synthesis, this grand synthesis that you've managed to pull together, it's not being taught in the contemporary university.
No.
This, what we are about to present to you, ladies and gentlemen, is a paradigm buster. And the academic establishment are going to have to come in this direction.
And they have 10 bloodline families that sit on a council, and they're the ones who advise the Jesuits. The Jesuits work for the Iranian bloodlines.
I can hardly believe what I'm seeing here.
We sacrifice unto Mithra, the lord of wide pastures, sleepless and ever awake, whose long arms, strong with Mithra's strength, encompass what he seizes, and what is by the boundary of the earth. And thou, O Mithra, encompassing all this around, do thou reach it all over with thy arms. He drives in the awfulness of royalty, saying, Who will offer me sacrifice? To him shall I in my might impart brightness and glory. To whom bodily health? To whom shall I in my might impart riches and full weal? To whom shall I give in return, without his thinking of it, the awful sovereignty, beautifully arrayed with many armies, and most perfect the sovereignty of an all-powerful tyrant, who fells down heads, valiant, smiting, and unsmitten, who orders chastisement to be done, and his order is done at once, which he has ordered in his anger. For his brightness and glory, I will offer him a sacrifice worthy of being heard. We sacrifice unto Mithra, the lord of wide pastures, sleepless and ever awake, a warrior who kills with the poniard. Bright are the ways of Mithra, by which he goes towards the country. We sacrifice unto Mithra, the lord of wide pastures, sleepless and ever awake, a watcher fully awake, a chief in assemblies, listening to appeals, he of the 10,000 spies, the powerful, all-knowing, undeceivable God. For his brightness and glory, I will offer him a sacrifice worth being heard. We sacrifice unto Mithra, the lord of wide pastures, sleepless and ever awake, for whom the Maker, Ahura Mazda, has built up a dwelling on the Hara Barazati, the bright mountain, where come no uncleanness made by the Devas, and he surveys the whole of material world from there, on the Haraiti Baraza. For his brightness and glory, I will offer him a sacrifice worth being heard. We sacrifice unto Mithra, the lord of wide pastures, a chief in assemblies, with 1,000 ears, with 1,000 eyes, high, with full knowledge, strong, sleepless, and ever awake. We sacrifice unto Mithra around the countries. We sacrifice unto Mithra within the countries. We sacrifice unto Mithra in this country. We sacrifice unto Mithra above the countries. We sacrifice unto Mithra under the countries. We sacrifice unto Mithra before the countries. We sacrifice unto Mithra behind the countries. We sacrifice unto Mithra and Ahura, the two great, imperishable holy gods, and unto the stars, and the moon, and the sun, Baresma. We sacrifice unto Mithra, the Lord of all countries. For his brightness and glory I will offer unto him a sacrifice worth being heard, namely unto Mithra, the Lord of wide pastures. Yatha Ahu Vairo. The will of the Lord is the law of holiness. I bless the sacrifice, and Payir, and the strength and vigor of Mithra, the Lord of wide pastures, who has 1,000 ears, 10,000 eyes, a Yazata, invoked by his own name, and that of Rama Havastra. Hashem Vohu, holiness is the best of all good. Give unto that man brightness and glory. Give him the bright, all-happy, blissful abode of the holy ones.
Skeletor, the master of the universe.
And now I'm gonna kill this little prick.
The interests behind the Jesuits, the entities that created the Jesuits during the Renaissance in Italy, it was none other than Alessandro Farnese, a Persian. From ancient Persia, his family came through Cappadocia in eastern Turkey, eventually to 10 Etruscan cities in Italy. And when those were razed, they destroyed them and they created the Roman Empire. The Jesuits were created by Alessandro Farnese, who became Pope Paul III in the Renaissance.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a game. This is not an academic exercise, either for Loren or for myself.
No. It traces back to the Jesuits. It traces back to Mesopotamia and the Talmud, which were magic cult instruction books.
Sabbateanism should be known to every Jew. He really should be in Jewish history something unique and huge, because more than half the Jews of the world thought he was the Messiah. And he ordered the Jews to blaspheme the Torah. That's putting it mildly. What he decided was that debauchery was theology. That every word of the Torah is true in the opposite sense. That means 613 mitzvot were all sins. And all the sins became mitzvot. And, well, let's take a simple example. Do not kill became do kill. Do not adulter became do adulter. Purim was his favorite holiday. That was the annual wife swappers holiday. It was called Extinguishing the Lights. And by his order, the Jews swapped wives. All over the world, this was not a local phenomenon. Now, all the books say the same thing, that Shabtai Tzvi gained prominence from Iran to Mexico. All over the world, the Messiah was going to come, and he announced the date. And this date, by the way, is significant because it shows he had Christian backers, theologians behind him. He declared he was the Messiah on June 18th of 1666. There was a sect in Turkey called the Dominus who decided that this was, in fact, a magical pronouncement by Shabtai Tzvi that we should all convert to other religions, but secretly practice Sabbateanism. Turkey is run by the Sabbateans. What can I say? Jacob Frank. Jacob Frank was Europe's second Messiah. That's what he was called. The second Messiah of the Jew was Jacob Frank. And he worked from 1750, died in 1791, born in 1726. He expanded Shabtai Tzvi into really a cult. And it was no different than a cult today where you control the minds of people through sex.
Why is there an increase in sexual deviation right now? It's because it goes against procreative sex. Mother Nature does not want more children. No, this is not a time of birth. It's not a time to give birth. It's a time to die.
Jacob Frank ran out of money in the year 1785 or so. This is when the Sabbateans made, well, a pact with the big devils. Suddenly, Jacob Frank got very rich in 1786. He moved his sect to Offenbach, a suburb of Frankfurt. Frankfurt was also the home of Mayor Amschel Rothschild and the home of someone named Adam Weishaupt.
We have a website, lorenmarais.info, and we have a Rothschild ball with photographs of the Rothschilds and their guests and members of their family doing satanic practices.
This is the masked ball photos?
The masked ball.
And by the way, they're called Venetian masks, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Right.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we can see the cultural and the historical continuities, ladies and gentlemen.
And the Venetians were Iranians.
Well, yeah, you alluded to that.
Yes.
That's why I
Yes.
interjected that, because
Yes.
I'm interested in masking.
Little by little, for those unacquainted with this piece of history, the Rothschilds are the Sabbateans of the world. The business was to control the economies of nations and thus control the nations. He found a magnificent formula. If we can get hold of the nations, economies, we've got the nations. He sat with Jacob Frank, who wanted the Jews to become non-Jews. He wanted them to become Sabbateans. He wanted them to accept the real Messiah of the Jews, Shabtai Tzvi, and incidentally, and the second Messiah, Jacob Frank. That's one of this little three-pointed triangle. That's one point. Adam Weishaupt was the founder of something called the Illuminati.
Favor, please. Don't speak about the Illuminati, because the Illuminati is considered one of these things, but the Jews are taking over the world.
No, let me go on. I can't change what is the fact. No.
This is not true.
No, I'm not. All right, questions at the end, and that's that. You have to deal with facts, and they're not nice facts. What they did, quite simply, was they had to overturn the existing societies. And unfortunately for us Jews, they did a real job. All of a sudden, there are revolutions. All of a sudden, you have something you never saw before, ever. You actually saw talk of one organization upending whole nations. Believe me, I believe that you are mature enough to accept this. It isn't easy for me. Do you think when I was researching this, I was having a good time? I mean, you have to understand, this is crappy work.
I have suffered, and I'm not going to talk about it too much today, the repercussions of asking certain questions about my own workplace, which is I'm entitled to do as a citizen, as a sovereign human being, as an academic, as an American. I'm entitled to do that, and I will exercise those rights to the best of my ability. But it takes research such as this, cutting-edge research such as this, that will provide us the intellectual, the historical, the analytical framework to understand what we are facing. Because so far, these people have been very good in veiling the truth and hiding it, because the Rockefellers own the University of Chicago. The Russell Trust runs Yale University. All these bloodlines control information, scholarship, and every single aspect, and sciences, of course, almost every single aspect of our lives that shape our world.
It doesn't matter if they convert to, the Sabbateans convert and they mix. It's a very ugly, messy situation. This is Sabbateanism.
But the Middle East, these Mesopotamians, all of Eurasia, we know now from DNA studies done over the last 5 years, especially by Russia, all of Eurasia was settled by Central Asians.
At least, you can tell me what your name is.
I do not need a name.
Telepathic communication is the real danger to them. Take its kingdom back from the misguided lies. Rage, rage, rage against the dying of the light. On Marishi Sawaka. The quest for truth, once set in motion, takes on a life of its own, with the power to shape destinies and challenge realities. Perhaps one day the echoes of my stories will be rediscovered, sparking a new generation of curiosity and awakening the collective consciousness of the hidden forces that shape our world. Traino, also known as Sigan Sensei, founder of Shindoku Shin Ryu Dojo. Obiichi.